So, with 2024 drawing to a close, we've experienced a remarkable year for gaming. It's been a wild ride, filled with groundbreaking titles, an unfortunate share of misfires, and of course, the controversies. Among these, the drama surrounding the Game Award nominee has been a hot topic, but honestly, that's not a debate I'm eager to engage in. I'll just say this: my trust in the Game Awards has dwindled over the years, and I've learned to focus more on my own criteria for what makes a game truly exceptional. Instead of getting caught up in that noise, I would like to take this opportunity to present my personal Game of the Year contenders and finally crown my Game of the Year for 2024. Now, before we begin, I'd like to make three quick clarifications. First of all, the nominees are based solely on games I've personally played. For PS5 exclusive, my judgment comes from the first few weeks or at most the first month after their release, and that's because that's how long my video editor and so-called friend Six Man would lend me his PS5. Yes, thank you Six Man. I appreciate it, Six Man. Fuck off, Six Man. Now, for everything else, I've been playing it on my trusty but undeniably aging gaming laptop. It's shit, but it gets the job done. Second of all, I evaluate games based on my personal five criteria, which is game design, story and characters, the soundtrack, the uniqueness, and the scale. Now, the scale would be both literal in scale, just like the size of the world, scope of the story, and figurative aspect, like the replayability and basically the end goal of the game, like what it actually wants to be. For example, Tekken 8 is an amazing fighting game. Its character, music, and mechanics are top notch, but it doesn't quite hit the mark for uniqueness or skill. So while I think Tekken 8 is the best fighting game of the year, it doesn't really count as a game of the year for me. Now, my third clarification would be the exclusions. No DLCs. No matter how much I love Elden Ring's Shadow of the Earth 3 DLC and how much I love From Software, it's not gonna make the cut. I'm not gonna include it. And I would accept remakes, but no remasters. Alright, now here's the lineup. No ranking, just the game that truly stood out to me this year. First nominee, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, this is far more than a remake. It's a masterclass in blending nostalgia with modern game design. The combat system feels incredibly dynamic with improved materia mechanics that give battle a cinematic flair. The characters are brilliantly fleshed out, and the reimagined story offers surprises even for die-hard fans. The open world strikes a balance between exploration and narrative focus with awe-inspiring vistas and intense boss fights. Add to that an astounding soundtrack, easily one of the best of the year, and you have a game that feels both familiar and revolutionary. My second nominee would be Astrobot. Now, I've always loved Team Asobi. Team Asobi has always had my respect, but Astrobot solidified their genius. What I initially thought would be a bite-sized, overpriced platformer turned out to be a delightful surprise. The game's length is substantial, and its levels are packed with creativity. The Horizon-inspired level, pure magic. On top of that, the cameos nods to PlayStation history makes this a love letter to gaming itself. It's not just fun, it's, well, joyful. My next nominee would be Stellar Blade. I've been following this one since its reveal, partly because I've been a fan of Nikke, the other game by Shift Up. I assumed Stellar Blade would be just another action game featuring a, hot girl or hyper stylized protagonist. And yes, it does have that. The protagonist is hot girl, Eve is hot, there's no denying that. But it's so much more. The combat is razor sharp and endlessly satisfying. The story is emotionally charged, and the voice acting brings it all to life. What truly blew me away though was how well the game weaves its narrative into the gameplay. It definitely exceeded my expectation at every turn. Now, my last nominee would be Black Myth Wukong. I don't have to say much about this. I love action games, I love challenging games, so Black Myth Wukong was practically tailor-made for me. The game's difficulty is perfectly tuned, it's punishing but fair. So, although it's not Souls-like, it's kinda had some Souls-like DNA in it. With every victory feeling hard-earned and satisfying. The mythological setting is brought to life with stunning visuals and a hauntingly beautiful soundtrack. It's a game that demands your attention and rewards your skills. Now, before I go to the winner, I'd like to do some special mentions because these are the games that didn't make the Game of the Year cut, but I think are still worth acknowledging. First is Silent Hill 2 remake. It's a solid experience, but to me, it's a bit too close to a remaster for my liking, which is why it didn't make the cut. The next is Persona 3 Reload. It's a fantastic game, but I don't think it innovated enough to stand apart from the original. It practically feels like I was still playing Persona 3 Festival. Next is Yakuza 8. I think Yakuza 8 was fun, but ultimately it was a bit underwhelming because I wasn't such a big fan of Yakuza 7, and I still think Yakuza 7 was still a bit better than Yakuza 8. Next would be Crow Country. Crow Country was a really good indie horror. It was ambitious, but it definitely lacked the polish to fully deliver. And my final special mention is Wuthering Waves. It's a visually stunning gacha with potential, but because it's a live service game and slash gacha game, it couldn't really make the Game of the Year cut. And that's pretty much it. Alright, with all that said and done, my Game of the Year for 2024 is Stellar Blade. Now, this game didn't just meet my expectations, it shattered them. The combat is fluid, visceral, and endlessly engaging. The character design and voice acting are top tier, bringing a heartfelt story to life in ways I didn't really expect. The soundtrack was a standout, complementing every moment beautifully, and while some dismissed it as a mere fan service, Stellar Blade proved to be so much more. A game that's as thrilling as it's thought-provoking. I love Stellar Blade. Thank you, Stellar Blade, and thank you, Shift Up. Well, so that's it for my video. What about you guys? What are your Game of the Year for 2024? Tell me in the comments.